Cross-border wholesale payments are financial transactions conducted between central banks, private sector banks, corporations, and other institutions. Foreign exchange spot trades are among the most common cross-border wholesale transactions. These transactions are conducted bilaterally between central banks and private sector financial institutions, as well as multilaterally between various counterparties. The foreign exchange market is the largest wholesale market in the world, with over $7 trillion in daily turnover. Enabling safe, fast, low-cost, transparent, and accessible wholesale cross-border transactions is critical to the functioning of the global economy. Currently, cross-border transactions function well, but there are opportunities for improvement. Today, most foreign exchange transactions take 2 days to settle. During this period, payment senders and recipients are exposed to settlement, counterparty, and credit risk, which, among other things, can hinder an institution's ability to readily access liquidity. Project Cedar, the inaugural experiment from the New York Fed's New York Innovation Center, explores ways to improve cross-border wholesale payments using distributed ledger technology, specifically blockchain. In a simulated foreign exchange spot transaction, Project Cedar introduced a wholesale central bank digital currency prototype to test whether using blockchain technology would improve speed, cost, and access to cross-border wholesale payments. The Project Cedar experiment revealed 3 key findings that show cross-border payments supported by blockchain technology can deliver faster, simultaneous, and safer payment settlement. First, faster, instantaneous payments by settling transactions in under 15 seconds in most cases, a vast improvement from the current typical 2-day settlement period. Second, reduced counterparty settlement risk by supporting simultaneous or atomic transaction settlement for payment senders and receivers alike. Third, more safe, transparent, and flexible transactions, accessible to a wider range of financial institutions, by enabling availability of payments on a 24/7 365 basis and increasing interoperability between multiple ledgers using the same technology stack and representing different currencies, private sector banks, and central banks. Project Cedar demonstrates the potential of distributed ledger technology to improve the safety, speed, and accessibility of wholesale cross-border payments. Visit the New York Innovation Center website to learn more about Project Cedar and how we are supporting central bank innovation.
Shout out to San, formerly known as San NL, right? Haven't shared some of his info in a while, but you know, he's still killing it. So give him a follow. Quant Papa obviously retweet this and so on. So he says, oh, hello, DLT API Gateway, right? And we had Tokenizer live on the show to talk about, for instance, what Quant brings to the table, not just, interoperability and all that stuff, but, more to it than just APIs, right? But it does get mentioned here again. So Project Cedar Phase 2 times UBIN Plus, improving wholesale cross-border multi-currency payments and settlements. They may be thinking like, I don't know what this is about. Well, that's all right. That's why we have some of these shows. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show this to you right here, in which San has gone ahead and blown this up. This comes straight from NewYorkFed.org. You can verify it for yourself. Let's go down to some of this real quick. He highlights some of what you see right here. So, if you're wondering about HTLCs, are time-bound smart contracts. They basically act as bridges between ledgers based on distinct technologies. They allow basically for atomic settlement and digital assets that are maintained on different ledgers and are operated by distinct parties. In the case of a CBDC network, when a payment leg is initiated, the initiating party's CBDC token or tokens, I should say, for example, CBDC-A for this example, are locked for a predetermined amount of time using a hash secret generated by the counterparty. This allows for the initiation of the second payment leg on a separate network where the operator of that network similarly locks CBDC tokens. For example, just like we mentioned earlier, instead of it being CBDC-A, it's CBDC-B on behalf of the counterparty. The second leg is linked to the first by the same hash secret. The party who initiated the first leg can claim the CBDC tokens. For example, CBDC-B is owed after the secret is revealed by the counterparty, which enables its counterparty to claim the CBDC tokens, for example, CBDC-A, locked in the first leg. This process is illustrated in the figure below, and of course, he highlights this. And you see, for instance, the application layer to HTTPS, and to the API gateway web server. Okay. This last part, I want to read this to you guys just for a brief moment. Further details on the execution of cross-border, cross-currency settlement via HTLCs is given in the description of the technical solution. And basically, like there's pros and cons to this, right? So if we are talking about atomic settlement. So the pros of this is that it ensures atomic settlement across networks with distinct technical designs, facilitating greater interoperability. So the cons in regards to this is limited operational scalability, as additional bilateral links are required as the number of transacting networks increases. Now, to jump back to, like you may be lost on this because you're not into the technical stuff, and that's okay. Sam mentions a few key things, and so we're going to show this to you. So he says this collaboration, basically speaking, brings together Project Cedar of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's New York Innovation Center, NYIC, and UBIN Plus of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is MAS. And of course, he's like, doing this, but I'll blow this up for you guys. I'll make it a little bit bigger. You should recognize this guy, especially if you're invested into Quant. And this is basically Andrew Carrier. He's in charge, basically, of the marketing over at Quant Network. So he's got this quote. He says, distributed ledger technology can help improve cross-border wholesale payments involving multiple currencies, according to the findings announced by the New York Fed and MAS. It can, and Quant Network makes it simple, trusted, and future-proof. Of course, this is in reference to what was posted on fstech.co.uk. Central bank experiment finds CBDCs improve cross-border payments. Now, let's jump back to a little bit more of what we have here. We do have the full report. I want to show you this for just a brief moment. So let me just get into this, and I'll show you some of my findings. This is from Project Cedar Phase 2 times UBIN Plus report. I'm gonna get to the very, very top of this just real quick, because you're gonna see some specific things. I could have just typed in interoperability, but that wasn't the point. What I want to show you guys is this right here, the executive summary. Right. So if you're wondering about Project Cedar, just on the surface, like it says, it's a research project exploring potential improvements for multi-currency wholesale cross-border payments. The project examined whether wholesale central bank digital currencies developed by using distributed ledger technology, DLT, could improve the efficiency and transparency of cross-border payments involving one or more vehicle currencies. Now, in regards to the collaboration, just real quick, this brings together Project Cedar of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York Innovation Center and UBIN Plus of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Now, one key thing I'm going to show you guys also is in regards to this hash time locks. So they have this thing called hash time lock contracts. It's a form of smart contract where it's used to successfully bridge ledgers with distinct underlying DLT systems and execute simulated cross-border, cross-currency payments. This demonstrated that interoperability could be established across ledgers with different technical designs. Now, there's going to be some people who are going to say this is not, OVERLEDGER. Hear me out. It is OVERLEDGER, and we're going to get more into that. So one of the key things you're also going to see here is where it talks about, for instance, the settlement. So the settlement was achieved in under 30 seconds for all test scenarios, including payment chains requiring several cross-ledger currency exchanges. This could reduce the need for manual correspondence across time zones that can drive delays in these complex cross-border transactions. People that don't understand quant don't realize that, for instance, you can go to the XRP ledger, you can go to some of these other particular ones through the power of interoperability through OVERLEDGER. That's one of the beautiful things about it. Some people are just going to point like, no, Max, you're full of crap. It's all QNT token, it's ERC20. You're not understanding the whole concept of OVERLEDGER. You're not understanding this whole concept. I'm going to go further down. While DOT was explored as a potential solution in Project Cedar times UBIN Plus, alternative technical designs may also provide viable solutions. No decisions as to optimal technical design have been made by the Federal Reserve System and MAS. However, this report is separate from the Federal Reserve's board's and MAS's evaluation of the potential benefits. I'm going to get down to a little bit more in regards to this. Here's an example. Phase 1 of Project Cedar focus on enabling real-time atomic settlement in an FX spot transaction through settlement in wholesale CBDC based on DLT. The project, if you're wondering, was successful because it demonstrated settlement in under 15 seconds on average across a simulated network of 8 distinct currency ledgers. 8 different ones, right? So, you can, for instance, include for instance, the XRP ledger and so on. There's other examples like Stellar, right? Let's get a little bit more into this. So let me pull it down. Yeah, that's real quick about Project Cedar. So I gotta get back to that. I gotta interrupt. I hate when I get interrupted sometimes. I hate when kids do it in my class, and I hate it especially in real life in person. Hold on a second. I got to get above the hypothesis. All right. So to design Project Cedar with UBIN, for instance, it presented opportunity areas in a corresponding hypothesis like that was established. The hypothesis centered on the assumption that emerging technology, specifically DLT, has the potential to solve for known problems in certain cross-border, cross-currency payments. Although alternative technologies may also provide such benefits. Let me make sure I'm not muted, thank God. Oh, shoot. Yeah, such benefits. The Cedar times UBIN Plus experiment focus on understanding the potential value of DLT within the identified problems. Here's the opportunity. To establish technical interoperability and multi-network connectivity across national payment systems and infrastructures. Here's again one of the hypotheses. Wholesale CB systems developed using DLT can be technically interoperable with other payment systems across different jurisdictions. This basically smashes the whole notion that, for whatever reason, when people just on the surface have done more of their own research in regards to quant, right? Are stating that no, this is, this can't be done because of QNT token and only because of QNT token. You're not understanding OVERLEDGER. Although central banks may implement a range of technical solutions to support the exchange and settlement of their respective wholesale CBDCs, these single currency ledgers can enable participants in one jurisdiction to transact with participants of another. Guys, listen to this. Without the need for each participant to gain access to each ledger. That's the whole part, one of the main, I should say the whole purpose of OVERLEDGER. I mean, obviously there's APIs, there's a lot more to it, right? We know about QRC 721 with secure smart contract NFTs. This last part, or without participants relying on a central party to discharge obligations on a common multi-currency ledger. Just going to show you guys just a tad bit more of this because I know for some of this might be going right over your head and you might be getting bored with this. I don't know. Although alternative technologies may also provide such benefits, the Cedar times UBIN Plus experiment focus on understanding the potential value of DLT within the identified problems. Here's another one of those opportunities: establish technical interoperability and multi-network connectivity across national payment systems and infrastructure. I think I already read that part. Sorry about that. Let me jump down to this. Here's that figure that Mr. Son NL was highlighting. So in this figure, you have HTLC model, right? Again, bank A and bank B. For this purposes, we'll just say the central bank, A and B. This is what he was highlighting, right? The application layer over to the API gateway web server. You have to have, for instance, through the firewall, the secure channel, and it goes over. So basically, one bank, just like let's use, for instance, the Bank of International Settlements, to another bank, which could be, for instance, I don't know, the Bank of England, right? Let's go down to, hold on, I remember where I was at. When you get interrupted sometimes, it kind of messes up your flow. Hold on. All right, this part real quick. The results, they did have success in regards to this validation, because I'm not going to spend 51 pages with you guys, but just if you're a quant holder, this is big. So the experiment ultimately met the 3 success criteria for Project Cedar times UBIN plus by validating each of the 3 corresponding hypotheses. Interoperability, HTLC successfully bridged 2 or more distinct ledgers with differing underlying DLT systems in this experiment. All test scenarios were successfully load tested for 10 minutes across Cedar and UBIN plus ledgers. And HTLC was successfully deployed across each transaction whenever a new payment was initiated by a payment generator. I do want to talk about this for just a brief moment in the next part, and then I think we're going to finish this up. So atomic settlement. Sometimes you guys have heard about, for instance, real-time gross settlements. What about atomic settlement? Like, are you aware of that? So in regards to atomic settlement, the test demonstrated atomic settlement for the end-to-end payments across multiple transaction legs through HTLCs and DLT-based ledgers. Under scenario 3, which depicts a typical FX trade with a vehicle currency such as USD, all trades settled atomically for all transactions across ledgers of differing technology. This is one of the key areas you should basically focus on if you hold QNT. With an average of 6.48 payments per second and a peak of 47 payments per second. So we understand at the end of the day that QNT itself, the actual token, is not going to be used for payments. Well, no kidding. But the key thing is with OVERLEDGER. So when you hear, for instance, Gilbert Verdian, or Martin Hargreaves or some of these other guys from Quant Network basically mentioning, look, we're not focused on retail. Right? They're not focused on retail. If they're focused on retail, yes, then I understand the whole concept of the QNT token being a big issue, but they're not focused on retail. What they're focused on, obviously, is all the bigger, the bigger picture, the institutional money, if you will, right? So when you come to the understanding of that and you see things, for instance, here where it says all trades settled atomically for all transactions across ledgers of differing technology, right? OVERLEDGER, when we talk about interoperability and so on, you are taking the technology, for instance, of Ripple's XRP. You are taking the technology of Stellar and so on, XDC, especially when it comes to the R3 quarter bridge, and countless other ones. We're talking 100 plus blockchains, fully interoperable, right? And it's not just what's on the surface with APIs. Obviously, we're talking about APIs, but understanding the broader picture. When Quant Papa mentioned to me that, for instance, with OVERLEDGER, they can quickly, and we showed you guys this in the deep dive, if you happen to take the time to see it, it shows specifically how, on the demo of OVERLEDGER, a lot of times we talk about OVERLEDGER and what it brings to the table, but we don't understand or haven't seen live action. We saw that demo, and it shows specifically in the demo where they were able to hop right over to Ripple's XRP through the XRP, the XRPL, right? And basically solve some of the things that people thought would never be able to be solved. Again, differing technology. Near real-time settlement. All primary scenarios satisfy the condition of average end-to-end payment latency of fewer than 30 seconds. So that right there, I mean, can tell you, right, obviously ERC20 token is not going to settle in under, less than 30 seconds. So come on. Successfully validating the third success criterion of near real-time settlement. In the most complex scenario, which employed 3 vehicle currencies, the Project Cedar times UBIN plus solution design achieved an average end-to-end payment latency of 17 seconds. There's just a tad bit more I'm going to get into, and then I'll wrap this up because I know I probably made this a little bit too long. I want to show you guys this just briefly. Transparency. So it says transparency, key benefit that DLT may provide as the immutable and visible nature of the data structure affords participants potentially richer, real-time, and more resilient data. However, transparency is also closely related to privacy, which could be considered as a drawback of DLT systems. This further discussed in the section below. You know who originally addressed this about 3 years ago? Hold on, 4 years ago, 2019. Go back to some of the videos. I don't have it, unfortunately, readily available, but we have shared this numerous times. Gilbert Verdian has mentioned numerous times when interviewed about, in order to obtain the ultimate security, you got to give up some privacy. This is addressed here. Currently, access to different networks is provided by intermediaries. He addresses that, who rely on confirmation of debits and credits and account statements to provide confirmation of settlement to their clients. Again, another thing that Gilbert Verdian has mentioned. This last part, interoperability, all right? This is going to, like it says, reduce barriers to access from a technical perspective by removing the need of a common ledger design or a shared platform. Understand the whole concept of why Quant is blockchain agnostic. Yes, I get it. People have said to me, I'm not just saying one guy, many people said to me, Max, especially in DMs, Max, you're not understanding that there's other blockchains that can make this interoperable. Okay, I get that. But are you going to be able to allow for interoperability at scale and also be able to do what? Do it in a lesser time frame. We have shown enough evidence, especially with, I'm not saying it, but Gilbert Verdian has showed many times that you had, for instance, this one particular project, and it was going to take 3 to 4 years to solve what they need to do. And typically speaking, through the old traditional model of interoperability, you're looking at just that 3 to 4 years because they had to build a whole other blockchain. With Quant's Overledger, it takes a lot of the heavy lifting or the time consumption out of the mix, and knowing that, a lot of overhead as far as, let's face it, the financing to get this all done, because it is blockchain agnostic. You don't have to have another layer of blockchain to make it interoperable because you have Quant's Overledger. So you can take more of your own deeper dive into Project Cedar if you want to do that. It's about 51 pages in regards to phase 2. But I wanted to give a shout out once again to the one and only, San, who came up with this. And I'm going to zoom out just a bit. I think I already retweeted this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I did retweet this. So, it's basically all there. You even have Andrew Carrier, who, a lot of these guys are under NDA. And, some people say, it doesn't say Quant. If it said Quant, my God, can you imagine if it did say Quant? But understand some of the past interviews. Connect the dots. Do your own research. That's the whole point.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, do yourself a favor and subscribe for more information on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of the new videos when they come up. Max and I cover these ISOs, and we also have a live show every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in for that. You won't want to miss it. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next video.